Well, good morning. Yes, it's been a month or so, maybe probably a little longer. I don't know. You know me. I'm sorry. I've been procrastinating, dragging my feet, got things going on. They're all excuses. They're like backsides. Everyone's got one, and they stink. So there it is. It's done. Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you for listening to me just ramble on this morning. I'm having a little coffee. It's Sunday morning. Got the day off, got some schoolwork to do. So, what's new? What is new here? Well, I am taking microbiology again. I tried doing it online, 8 weeks online. I knew by the second week this was not going to work. Several reasons why, like I was saying, they're excuses. They're like a backside and they all stink. So, but it is what it is. So now I am doing a 16 weeks in person, Mondays and Wednesdays, doing it online. Not online, but in person at my local school here. So things don't work out. You go to plan B, you do it so you can get back on plan A. So I'll keep you updated with that. We got a first test coming up here next Monday. So it's working well. Didn't have class last week. Probably a lot of people know who's listening down here in the South. We had some pretty cold weather come through. I will say a lot colder than what we used to. I am not looking forward to see what my electricity bill and my gas propane bill for the gas logs are going to be. It's going to be bad. But I tell you, these homes are not meant for cold weather like this. So today is supposed to be getting some rain, going to be warming up to where it usually needs to be. I cannot wait because it's cold around here. So that being said, been doing well. Been working, trying to get some hours together. ER has been busy. Sick people, cough, cold, yada, yada. You can't give me anything for the flu. What do you mean? So you don't. Okay, it's a virus. Just take things over the counter and we send them home. So my little lazy boy section of 6 chairs and curtains and RTT has just been full, and we have just been going hard at it. Even with all the other nurses, God bless them. It's just been 19, 21, 22 holes when we come in the morning sometimes. There's no rooms to be had. And they work hard. They work really hard. I got to give it to them right there. So, with all that being said, what we're going to talk about this morning here, you're going to hear me drink some coffee too. So let me start to think. Just got off the phone with my daughter who is finishing up nursing school. They're in their second semester. They'll be done in May. And she's been in the medical field one form or fashion. She got into EMS. As you know, I'm a paramedic also as an LPN. She got into the field as an EMT. Actually, she took the class while she was a senior in high school, turned 18 before she graduated, because you had to be 18 to take your EMT test. Took it, passed, and been an EMT for a long time. I don't even know when she graduated high school, to be honest with you. I'm bad with dates and years. So she started off with a little county I was at, part-time. Got her a job there, and she worked full-time hours as a part-timer and loved it and did it for many, many years. I know she went through one pregnancy. I don't know if she went through a second pregnancy while she was there. I think she did. But anyway, they treated her really well. They really liked her. And it was just time for her to move on when they moved a little further north, up the road there. So she got a job at the hospital as a tech. They hired her on as an EMT because of her EMT background, and was an ER tech and flourished well. Can do anything, work the desk, cast splints, all the craft work that techs do. They don't get enough praise for. And now, as y'all listen, her and I, we did LPNs together. I had some more classes to wrap up, but she moved on. So we were talking this morning. So the whole part of me just rambling on is, when I was been working, like I said, it's the season. It's cold flu season, and it is what it is. You just get through it. So I'm sitting here thinking, and I'm looking around, and I'm seeing the holds, and a thought came across in my mind. I'm like, these times you get tired, and I'm looking. I'm like, God mercy, is it worth it? Is it worth going to nursing school? Is it really worth going? And there are times, and I tell you, a lot of medics, they won't go to nursing school. And I'm going to digress here in a second, because they look at it as mother may I medicine. They're not making the choices when they're not on the front lines in someone's house in a bad SVT or a bradycardia, rhythm, and they got meds we can give. I understand all that. I understand the thrill. I understand the working through the algorithms, what I'm going to be using, what meds I'm going to give, and you get them to the hospital. I understand that. It's good to have a good medical call. I could give two craps about trauma. I've had my traumas, and they don't do nothing for me, to be honest with you. But a good medical call where you have to think, what am I going to do? Am I making the right decisions? What if what I need to do does not work? I understand all that. Then you get into the ER, and I'm not crapping on the nurses, because I'm there with them. And a lot of medics, they look at it as mother may I. Well, you can't make decisions. You have to do what the doctor says. Point taken. But the thing about it is here, as being a nurse, is this. You are the advocate of that patient. Is the doctor giving a right med? Is it happening correctly? Is or is the dosage correct? Is it not going to interact with another medication that's given? Now that takes years and years of experience, and I'll be honest with you, and continuing study, continuing education. And I work with some great nurses there. But I sit around and I look, and I'm looking, and and just being tired at the end of a shift. You're on your feet. I tell you, the best weight program ever. I've lost over 20 pounds just working in the ER, because half the time you don't get a lunch, and I'm burning calories, and I'm eating healthy. Anyway, back to where I'm talking about now. Is it worth it? Is it worth going to nursing school? Because when you do, you are sitting with patients and such. And you are looking at the orders. Well, it's time to give this again. It's time to do that again. It's time for this. So what do? So I called my daughter up, and we were talking about it, because she works in the ER. They hired her at the same hospital, the same ER that she works at as a tech. They hired her as an LPN. And we were talking about that. And I said, do you feel the same thing, where it's just like, you're looking around, it's like, it's just the same stuff, the same meds being pushed, the same stuff being done. And yes, we are, where she works at, they do have I think they see a more variety of sick people come in, bigger area, and that is the hospital to take them to. So when EMS brings them in, they're going to get the crap shows and the sick people and the bad traumas, and maybe they got to fly them out, trauma-wise. So she does see, I think, a little bit more and sit on a little bit more as far as experience-wise. But, she brought up a good point. She goes, who says you got to do ER? Why don't you can't, look in the ICU, where it's a little bit more, your scope of practice is a little more broad, and you can help out, as far as, challenging yourself and things of that nature there. And I actually thought about that too. And I do join the ER. I think it's going to be a good, once I get done, it's going to be a good place to learn. And I think like I said, we have fabulous nurses where I work at. And so I think it's going to be a good thing where once I get my feet wet, maybe I might move on. Maybe I'm always up for a challenge. I have, and I tell you, a downfall of me, just a personal downfall, is I hate being stagnant. I just can't enjoy where I'm at, and this is right into the sunset. I mean, I'm 54 years old. I'm not saying old. I tell you, it ain't young. And so, but one thing about the mind is ever learning. This is a profession that you can ever learn in. And so I can see where people don't want to get into nursing, because they see it's the same stuff day in and day out and day in and day out. So what do? Well, I say you find a place what works for you. It's like EMS. You can bounce around. I've been to every EMS service in my local area here, and I found some that I enjoyed and some that I really didn't enjoy. There's some that I went to because it was just logistically, I had to go there, because the pay maybe would have been a little bit better, but it was a crappy service. But you know what? You do what you do, to pay the bills, for the family. But I just learned that I knew I was going to be moving on. And I think, with nursing, the great thing about nursing is that there's so much to be done. There's so many different fields to get into and such. I think the only downside, as far as me and also for my daughter, is that we have seen a lot. And we have seen a lot with new nursing students who are starting out fresh. Yes, some may be techs, and they have a strong working knowledge of what they're getting into, and some are not. Some are not like that, and they may have some medical background, or there are some people who don't have any background and who doesn't know what they're really getting themselves into. I don't mean that in a negative way, but sometimes, knowledge is a double-edged sword. It's a double-edged sword there. So we had a good talk this morning, and I told her, because I need to get her on the podcast here. I need to hook her up, figure out how I need to do a call-in for that there. So, but anyway, that's what really has kind of been going on right now, and so just been kind of studying it for micro there, and trying to stay warm. That's what's really been kind of going on here. And so it's that time of the season. Time of the season there. Me on a personal level here, I know I'm just rambling on the side. And I don't know. It's just me, January, February, and March are this very lull months. There's no holidays. There's not much going on. You just living your life for warmer weather, for a change of pace. So I've always been that way, especially when we lived in Alaska. I tell you, those were the most hardest times living where we lived at. We lived in a remote village. But that January, February, and March, that, sometimes in the April, you start to see some breakup in April, a little better in the weather. Those were just hard times. That's when I did rural health care. And I tell you, I just had some crap calls, a lot of drinking and people driving and four-wheeler accidents because they were just boredom. Now, there was not much going on. But anyway, I know, I'm just reminiscing in the past there, and I'm just kind of talking right now. But anyway, with all that being said, I'm just going ahead and let you go here. I wanted to get something out, not just because, but just a thought that I came across. I was going to talk about something different, but the question is it really worth it? You really need to ask yourself, is it really worth putting myself through all this study? Is it really worth, spending the money? And as far as becoming a nurse right there. So I can't answer that question for you. You just need to find wherever you're at. Once you get it, my biggest advice is this. I've been in it long enough, is as far as in the medical field, one form or fashion, you got to get good at your craft. You do. And once you get that nursing degree, and you're hopefully going to get under a good preceptor, but you got to learn good patient care. And that's the biggest advocate as far as being a nurse. Why we want to get into this is because we want to help people. Now, we can go psychologically, and I listened to this little Instagram reel of this one nurse that she does some great educational stuff. She did one saying, are we in the nursing field to care for people because we weren't cared enough for ourselves? I don't know all that stuff. Who knows? But there is a drive to becoming a nurse. And usually we always say, I want to help people. And that's usually true. It is. But you got to figure out, is it really worth for you having it there? There you go. Only you can answer that question there. So anyway, y'all good. Y'all be good, be strong, take care of yourselves, and don't take crap off people on the floor. So, with that being said, y'all have a good day, and I will talk to you next week.